Try to visualize a hidden door that opens slowly, and behind it you find a world made of snow and sugar and ancient secrets. A world where kings and emperors searched for the perfect cold treat on the hottest days. Today, I want to take you on a journey, a sweet journey through time. We are going to discover the long and fascinating history of ice cream. Yes, ice cream, that simple, cold, delicious thing we all love. But the story behind it is not simple at all. It is full of discovery, adventure, and surprise. So relax, listen carefully, and let the story carry you. This is Storyline English, and this story begins thousands of years ago, in a place you might not expect. Let us go back in time, far, far back, more than 2,000 years ago. Imagine the ancient world, great empires, powerful kings, hot summers with no electricity, no refrigerators, no machines. Now imagine a king sitting in his palace. The air is warm, the sun is strong, and the king wants something cold, something sweet, something special. This is where our story begins. In ancient China, around 200 BC, people discovered something wonderful. They learned to mix snow and ice with fruit and honey. It was not ice cream, not exactly, but it was the very first idea of a frozen treat. People collected ice from the mountains. They carried it down to the villages and the palaces. This was not easy. Ice was rare. Ice was precious. Only the rich could enjoy it. Across the world, in ancient Rome, Emperor Nero had a similar idea. He sent his servants high into the mountains to bring back fresh snow. Then his cooks mixed the snow with fruit juices and honey. Imagine that. Servants walking for hours, maybe days, carrying snow down a mountain, just so one man could eat something cold and sweet. It sounds incredible, but it is true. And in Persia, the land we now call Iran, people made a dessert called sharbat. They mixed ice with rose water, sugar, and fruit. The word sharbat is actually the origin of our modern word sherbet. Can you hear the connection? Sharbat, sherbet. Language carries history inside it. So, across the ancient world, in China, in Rome, in Persia, people were already dreaming of frozen desserts. They did not have the technology we have today, but they had creativity. They had curiosity, and they had a deep love for something cold and sweet. This was the very beginning of a long journey, a journey of discovery that would take centuries. And the next chapter of that journey takes us to a very unexpected place, a place of art, beauty, and invention. Can you guess where? The answer is Italy. Beautiful, warm Italy. During the time we call the Renaissance, Italy was the center of art, music, science, and also food. Italian cooks were the best in Europe. They were creative, they were adventurous, and they loved to experiment. Now, remember the frozen desserts from the ancient world. Those ideas traveled along trade routes. Merchants, travelers, and explorers carried recipes and knowledge from the east to the west. And when those ideas arrived in Italy, something magical happened. Italian cooks began to experiment with milk, cream, and sugar. They mixed these ingredients with ice and salt. Why salt? Because they discovered that salt makes ice even colder. This was an important discovery. By mixing salt with ice, they could freeze cream slowly and create a smooth, soft texture. Not hard like ice, not rough like snow. Smooth and soft and rich. This was much closer to the ice cream we know today. Some historians believe that the famous Medici family in Florence helped make these frozen desserts popular. The Medici family was powerful and rich. They loved art and beauty in everything, even in their food. They invited the best cooks to create new and amazing dishes for their grand parties, and frozen desserts made with cream and sugar became a favorite. There is also a story, and we are not sure if it is completely true, about a man named Marco Polo. Many people say that Marco Polo brought the idea of ice cream from China to Italy after his long travels. This story is probably more legend than fact, but it tells us something important. People have always wanted to believe that ice cream has a grand and adventurous origin. They wanted the story of ice cream to be as special as the taste itself. What we do know is that by the 1500s and 1600s, Italy had a new kind of frozen dessert. It was cold, it was sweet, it was creamy, and it was about to travel to a new country, carried by a young woman who was about to become a queen. Who was she, and where did she go? Let us find out together. Her name was Catherine de' Medici. She was born in Florence, Italy, into the famous Medici family. In 1533, when she was only 14 years old, Catherine married Henry, who later became King Henry II of France. When Catherine left Italy for France, she did not travel alone. She brought her Italian cooks with her, and those cooks brought their recipes, including the recipe for frozen desserts. This was a very important moment in the history of ice cream. When the French royal court tasted these Italian frozen treats, they were amazed. Nothing like this existed in France before. The cold, sweet, creamy dessert was a sensation. The French loved it. Over the next century, French cooks took the Italian idea and made it even better. They added more cream. They experimented with different flavors. They refined the recipes. And slowly, the frozen dessert became smoother, richer, and more delicious. In 1686, a man from Sicily named Francesco Procopio dei Coltelli opened a cafe in Paris. It was called Café Procope. And at this cafe, he served frozen desserts to the public. This was revolutionary. Before Café Procope, frozen treats were only for kings and queens and very rich people. Now, for the first time, ordinary people in Paris could walk into a cafe and taste this wonderful cold dessert. Café Procope became very popular. Artists, writers, and thinkers came there to eat, drink coffee, and enjoy the frozen desserts. The cafe still exists today, by the way. It is one of the oldest cafes in Paris. So listen to this journey so far. Ice and snow desserts began in China, Persia, and Rome thousands of years ago. The idea traveled to Italy, where cooks added cream and sugar. Then it moved to France, where it became more refined and finally available to more people. Each step in this journey was a discovery. Each step brought ice cream closer to what we know today. But the story does not stop in France. Soon, this frozen treat crossed a very large ocean. And on the other side of that ocean, ice cream found a new home and a new future. Ice cream crossed the Atlantic Ocean and arrived in America. We know that by the 1700s, ice cream was already popular among wealthy Americans. Historical records show that some of the earliest American leaders loved ice cream. George Washington, the first president of the United States, spent a large amount of money on ice cream during the summer of 1790. Thomas Jefferson, the third president, had his own special recipe for vanilla ice cream. He learned it during his time in France and brought it back to America. His recipe still exists today. You can actually read it in a library in Washington. But in those early days, ice cream was still very difficult to make. There were no machines. Everything was done by hand. To make ice cream, you needed ice, salt, cream, sugar, and a lot of patience. You had to stir the mixture by hand for a long time, sometimes for hours. The ice had to be collected in winter and stored underground in special ice houses so it would last through the summer. This made ice cream expensive and rare. Most ordinary people could not afford it. Then something changed. In 1843, a woman named Nancy Johnson invented the hand-cranked ice cream freezer. This was a very important invention. It was a simple machine with a handle that you turned around and around. Inside, the cream mixture slowly froze into smooth ice cream. Before this invention, making ice cream was slow and unpredictable. After this invention, anyone with the machine could make ice cream at home. Nancy Johnson changed everything. But here is something sad. She did not become rich or famous from her invention. She sold her patent for only $1,500. Other people took her idea and made fortunes from it. Sometimes in history, the people who create the most important things do not receive the credit they deserve. But her invention opened a door that could never be closed. Ice cream was no longer just for the rich. It was becoming a treat for everyone. And soon, a new invention would make ice cream even more available than anyone could have imagined. Let me take you to the year 1904. The place is St. Louis, Missouri, in the United States. A great World's Fair was happening there. Thousands of people came from everywhere to see new inventions, new ideas, and new wonders. There were buildings full of amazing machines. There was music and art and food from around the world. And at this fair, something small but wonderful happened. Something that changed ice cream forever. There were many food sellers at the fair. One of them was an ice cream seller. His ice cream was very popular, and on one very hot day, he had a problem. He ran out of dishes. He had no more bowls or cups to serve his ice cream. What could he do? Right next to him, there was another seller. This man was selling thin, flat, crispy waffles. When he saw the ice cream seller's problem, he had a simple but brilliant idea. He took one of his warm waffles, rolled it into the shape of a cone, and said, "Put the ice cream inside this." And that is how the ice cream cone was born. At least, that is the most popular version of the story. The truth is, we are not completely sure who invented the cone first. Several people at the fair told similar stories. But what we do know is that after the 1904 World's Fair, the ice cream cone became incredibly popular across America, and then the world. Think about how simple this discovery was. Two people standing next to each other. One had ice cream but no cups. The other had waffles. And together, almost by accident, they created something that millions of people still enjoy today. Sometimes the greatest discoveries in history come not from laboratories or universities, but from ordinary moments, from small problems that need simple solutions. The ice cream cone is a perfect example of that. And after the World's Fair, ice cream grew and grew in popularity. But the biggest changes were still to come. In the early 1900s, new technology changed everything about ice cream. Refrigeration became more common. Factories could now produce ice cream in very large amounts. Before, each batch of ice cream was made slowly by hand. Now, machines could make thousands of servings in a single day. The price dropped, and for the first time in its long history, ice cream became truly affordable for ordinary families. In the 1920s and 1930s, something interesting happened in America. During a very difficult time called the Great Depression, when many people lost their jobs and their money, ice cream remained popular. Why? Because it was cheap and it made people happy. A small cone of ice cream cost only a few cents, but it brought a moment of sweetness and comfort during dark times. Ice cream became more than just a dessert. It became a symbol of simple happiness. During World War II, ice cream played another surprising role. The American military gave ice cream to soldiers to keep their spirits up. The Army even built floating ice cream factories on ships so that soldiers far from home could enjoy a taste of comfort. After the war, when the soldiers came home, ice cream was more popular than ever. New flavors appeared. New brands were created. Chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry were joined by dozens of new flavors. Families gathered around the table to share bowls of ice cream after dinner. Children ran after ice cream trucks in the summer streets. Ice cream shops opened on every corner. The frozen dessert that started as a luxury for ancient kings had finally become something for everyone, everywhere. And it continued to grow. People in every country began to create their own versions. In Japan, you could find green tea ice cream. In India, there was kulfi made with cardamom and pistachio. In Turkey, a stretchy ice cream called dondurma amazed visitors with its unusual texture. Each culture took this simple idea, cold sweetness made from cream, and added their own story to it. And so we arrive at the end of our journey together. We have traveled thousands of years. We have visited China, Persia, Rome, Italy, France, and America. We have met emperors and queens, inventors and street sellers, and all of them were connected by one thing: the desire to create something cold, something sweet, something that brings a small moment of joy. The history of ice cream is not just about food. It is about human creativity. It is about how a simple idea can travel across oceans and centuries and change along the way. It is about how people in every culture and every time period looked at what they had: snow from a mountain, cream from a cow, sugar from a plant, and imagined something beautiful. Ice cream teaches us that great things often start small. A bowl of snow mixed with honey in ancient China became the ice cream cone at a World's Fair in St. Louis. A luxury for Roman emperors became a simple treat that a child can buy on a hot summer day. Every step was a discovery. Every change was an adventure. And now, my friend, I want to talk to you for a moment. Not about ice cream, but about you. You are here, listening to this story in English, and that is something to be proud of. Learning a new language is its own kind of journey. It takes time. It takes patience. It takes courage. Some days it feels easy, and some days it feels hard. But every time you listen, every time you try to understand a new word or a new sentence, you are moving forward. You are making progress. And just like the history of ice cream, your English journey is made of many small steps, and each one matters. If you enjoyed this story, I hope you will come back to Storyline English for more. Leave a comment and tell me your favorite flavor of ice cream, or tell me what story you want to hear next. Subscribe so you do not miss the next journey we take together. I will be here, waiting for you, with another calm story and another quiet adventure. Until next time, take care of yourself, keep learning, and never stop being curious.